All right, we are the Two Player Podcast, and we're returning to talk about the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead, and then we can take a nice, healthy break from Walking Dead podcasts for a while. I'm Erik Kain.
And I'm Paul Tassi.
And boy, yeah, they killed Neil. Can you believe they killed Neil?
Neil. Everybody loves Neil.
Everybody loves Neil. Man, I loved that guy. He was my favorite character, and Simon just shot him. How messed up is that?
Couldn't this episode just be like one long sigh for like 40 minutes?
just like
that about sums it up.
It really does. You know, as soon as that character said "hell yeah" in the back, and we're like, "Who's that?" You knew he was gonna die.
This guy's dead. That's the rule. You have to say at least one line before you die.
Neil. Oh my God! What a terrible episode!
That's like the 100th most troubling thing about the episode.
I know, right? I literally tweeted at Scott Gimple last night during the episode and said that it was embarrassing just to watch, because at this point I'm done. I'm just done pulling punches with this show. Like, they have to be told. And then my post today, of course, was about them needing to get rid of Gimple and really everyone in charge of making the show. Just a total clean slate.
Okay,
get rid of all the producers.
I'm going to try and start with a couple things about the episode I liked.
There were a couple?
There were a couple, yes.
I probably know which ones you're thinking
start to finish horrible. This is weird because, like, we're dancing around the big thing that happened, but, like, I'm not just upset about that it happened. It's once you learned why it happened.
Yeah,
that's
oh my God, I know.
Worse. But, okay, before that, I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of this episode, where it really reminded me of, I think it was the season 6 finale, where they're kind of meeting the saviors in full for the first time, and they keep getting like roadblocked at every turn, and there's just this looming sense of dread that everything is totally out of their control and they really screwed up. I kind of got that vibe from it again. And so it did make me like, what's going to happen? Like someone's going to die, like something serious is going to happen. Like, I was genuinely concerned. So it did do that effectively. I like the scene at the wall with Carl and Negan, where you really get to see how Negan likes Carl, like, genuinely, and does not want him to die. And was like, what? He's like, no, I'm not going to kill you. I liked the fight with Rick and Negan. I thought that was pretty good, one or two things aside. And that's it.
Yeah, I liked. So I didn't share your feeling of dread, because I was sitting there thinking, like, what? How are they? First of all, how'd they get out of the sanctuary? They didn't explain it. Second of all, how are they sneaking up on everybody? Why is nobody watching the roads or guarding the sanctuary? Like, what happened to all the sentries? What happened to the radios? How did they just get into the kingdom and Alexandria with no one noticing? Like, and then, like, how did they find Maggie's people on the road and put a roadblock there? Why didn't they just get them at Hilltop? There's so many, like, weird things about how that was all put together that just make no sense, including how many saviors are left.
There seems
to be so many.
Infinite saviors.
And in my review, I wrote about the scene with Maggie because it's so emblematic of the rest of the episode. These savior cars drive up, and instead of, like, jumping out of their own cars with their guns and starting to shoot at them, because, it's a war, they just sit there. And then they just give over their guns. What the heck is going on? Why do they just do? I mean, this is before they even see that Jerry's hostage. And even, honestly, I'm sorry, Jerry. Yeah, you're a nice guy and all. But I'm not going to trust the saviors not to just kill all of us once we hand over our
I thought once the back of that truck was going to open that they were going to have, like, an LMG and just, like, rip them up. Because, like, that's what I would have done if they're just going to sit there. But yes.
Why are they just sitting there? Maggie had more cars than the saviors. She had like 7 or 8 cars. The saviors pull up with like 4, and it's like, oh, okay, we're just gonna sit here and not.
A big problem was like how, not just how the saviors got out, because it was ridiculous to have an entire episode dedicated to that, to Eugene trying to make a plan and then not show the plan or explain the plan. Like, it was something about music, I can kind of put the pieces together. Like, they drove some sort of giant ass truck out of the building and, like, plowed through a bunch of zombies and it was playing music. Like, that's, I guess, the clues I took away from that. But even past that, then how they're able to immediately organize despite losing all of their satellite outposts and do 3 coordinated stealth attacks on Rick's group in like 6 hours. I don't even.
It must have been around that.
I mean, like,
it could have
Negan
been
is like
much
the
longer.
greatest tactician on Earth, or like that's just impossible. Like that did not make any amount of sense that they were able to do all of that just flawlessly. I guess the only way you could explain it is like they just have such overwhelming numbers that once they were free, they were able to just kind of steamroll everything. But again, that made very little sense.
Yeah, and then there was just that alone kind of made it hard for me to take the episode seriously. It was hard to watch any of the other stuff because you're just thinking the whole time, this is ridiculous.
Well,
why aren't they just telling the story?
Back into it, and like I'd be like, okay, fine. But then like it would skip, and like we'd miss a scene, and I'd be like, what happened? Like this is a 90-minute episode, and I don't understand who hit Rick's car. I guess it was the convoy, but I don't understand how they captured Jerry, and then Rick and Carol got away, and then Rick and Carol decided to both split up.
They split up first before Jerry's car got hit. Yes.
When did that happen?
It didn't show them actually splitting up, but if you watch that scene where they're kind of showing each of those characters like close-ups and stuff, they're actually each driving a different car.
Where did they get other cars?
I don't know, because they don't put that stuff in the episode, because apparently we don't need to know that sort of thing. It's so badly edited.
Okay, and then the second editing problem was the Maggie stuff. We're like, okay, they don't shoot him, they surrender, and it's stupid. But then just Maggie and everyone else teleports back to the hill with the coffin, and she kills the dude and is going to like send a message that they have more hostages. But like, didn't Simon just lay out this plan where he was going to like march Maggie up to the hilltop and then execute her? Like, I didn't he literally say that, or did I miss something?
No, I think he said that they just had to kill somebody and then they're all good to go again.
I thought
we just
said
kill one of your guys.
Stringing Maggie up or something, or like, but like I don't get why no one went back to the hilltop with them, like at all. Like I get that they said that okay, you're gonna keep producing whatever, but why even really stop them if they were just gonna let all of them go just to kill Neil? Like that really?
That's it. All they had to do is kill Neil.
Wouldn't they easily could have just been ambushed and it could have been a huge firefight. Like
I don't get it. It really makes no sense. I do not understand how they can get away with this kind of an episode, with leaving out so many plot points and just having everyone act ridiculously stupid again. There's no reason. I mean, wasn't Maggie one of the 3 people that had to be captured? Maggie, Ezekiel, and Rick, right?
Yeah, I thought that was the plan, was they were going to round them all up and then kill all of them and then subjugate all the colonies again. But instead, they let Maggie go. They capture Ezekiel and occupy the kingdom. They blow up Alexandria, even though they could have easily occupied that also. Yeah. And they don't have Rick, but it's baffling.
If they have things to blow up Alexandria, why did they have such a hard time getting out of the sanctuary?
Yeah, if you have that much ordnance, you would think you'd be able to make some holes in the zombie. I don't know. Maybe they were stored off site. I don't know, but.
It's just so bad. Like just watching it was just one cringy, terrible scene after another. And I don't understand. I just don't understand what they're doing. Why are they telling their stories this way? Why not just have like the story play out like a normal TV show where you see what happens throughout. You see everything that happens, and if you don't see it, some exposition is there to explain it, or it's very obvious what happened. I don't know. It's just like. I don't understand why it's so hard.
Well, this all culminated in the Carl thing, and like this would have been a horrible episode even without the Carl death. And again, when it first happened, I thought this was another scene that we missed because we had just missed like 4 really important scenes, and I'm like, okay, this is like the skipping scenes episode, so we missed Carl getting bit. And what I thought happened was when they get to the end of the tunnel, they're looking at Sadiq, and then someone says, I brought him here. And I mistakenly thought Sadiq said, I brought him here. And then Carl says, that's when it happened, and then shows his bite. And so I'm like, okay, did Sadiq carry Carl back, and then like a sewer zombie bit him? Or like was Carl bitten outside, and we just didn't see that scene at all? I'm like, I was so confused. It wasn't until hours later, until someone explained to me that Carl was bitten in episode 6, and he's been bitten this whole time, and that's what that was referencing. And that was really hard to figure out in like the 10 seconds between realizing Carl was bitten and the episode ending. So like I get what they were doing, and if you go back and look, they were leaving a trail. Like if you rewatch that scene, you can see where the zombie dives down and like bites him. He just doesn't like react to it. But then him writing the letter to his dad early in the episode makes sense. Him like willing to sacrifice himself to Negan makes sense because he knows he's gonna die. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to be clever and like hide this and then be like, ha, surprise, he's been sentenced to death this whole time. But like the way they did it was so confusing, and you have exactly like 6 seconds to understand what's happening before the episode ends, that it was just madness. And like that wasn't good. But for me, the real problem is just why it happened. Like it would have been devastating to lose Carl just for story reasons alone, because he's such an important character for the show, and like the whole show's about him growing up, and the whole comics, like he goes to co-lead the comics and has a huge part in every storyline going forward. But I was going to be like, okay, Chandler Riggs has been on the show for 8 years. He wants to go to college. Like he's a kid who likes playing like PUBG on Twitch. Like he's just a normal dude. He wants to leave. Like, all right, I guess that was like could have been an okay way to kind of write him off, and I wouldn't be happy about it, but like I would understand it. And then you learn it was just Scott Gimple out of nowhere just wanting to do this, and it totally blindsided Chandler Riggs, totally blindsided everyone in the cast, Andrew Lincoln, everyone. Like, Chandler Riggs had just bought a house in Georgia. He delayed going to college to stay on the show. And, like, his parents are, like, losing their shit online because this was such, like, a BS unexpected move that makes no sense. And, like, that is why I'm so mad about this. Because, like, I could have respected a decision that he just wanted to leave. But I cannot respect this if it was just Gimple being like, oh, we need a shocking mid-season finale, and we need Rick to be 10% more merciful, so we better kill the second most important character in the series.
Yeah, and also, how does that make him more merciful? I'm sorry, but if this war led to the death of my son, I would be far from more merciful going forward. It'd be the opposite of that. I mean, he has even less to live for now.
Well, they really did this like ham-handedly, where they're like, okay, suddenly Carl is giving him like sage advice about like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do a war, when like that hasn't been Carl's character. That's never been Carl's character. Like Morgan, like this is why I thought Morgan was gonna die before this season started, before all the Fear the Walking Dead stuff, because that seemed like a role that Morgan would fill, where Morgan would teach a lesson to Rick about compassion, because he frickin' was the compassionate dude for like 2 years. Like that would have made way more sense. And then, but just turning Carl into this at the last possible second made no sense. And in the comics, it was fine. Like I get that Rick needs to like show mercy and whatever, but like it wasn't like a loose end in the comics that needed desperately to be fixed by Carl's death. Like it doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it really doesn't.
My personal opinion is just that I don't think Scott Gimple likes Carl or thinks Chandler Riggs is like a good actor and like should stay in that role. And
that must be.
I will agree that I don't know if Chandler Riggs is the strongest actor on the show, and like he was hired when he was like 10. Yeah. And so it's kind of understandable, but it's been 8 years. Like we're used to him now. It's not like, oh, he's so bad that we need to kill him off because he's just ruining the rest of the show. Like, no, he's fine now. And this, if that's the reason, that's BS, because that he could have easily hopped into all these different storylines in the future and it would have been fine. And so I don't think that's a good reason, even if that's like the secret hidden reason this happened.
Yeah, it's such a waste to have a character that did start when he was 10 or 11 years old and grows into a grown up on the show, and before our eyes, and then just kill him off.
It's the whole point of the series. The whole whole story is essentially the story of Carl.
Yeah, it's absolutely mind blowing. I mean, even though I don't read the comics, I knew that about the comics, because I know some things that I've heard, and so I never expected, like when I started hearing like, oh, they're going to kill Carl, I was like, that's not even possible.
The day of, I didn't believe it. I'm like, I keep hearing all these like whispers. I'm like, there's no way. Like that would be. I literally wrote a post. I was like, this would be crazy.
Yeah,
and sure enough. Wrong. But what also doesn't make sense is because what seems like is going to happen, or before this and after this, is that Andrew Lincoln is going to leave. And the point after that was be like, okay, well, Carl will kind of take up his mantle. And after Rick is killed off, because like Andrew Lincoln has made no bones about wanting to get off the show. Like it might be in 2 or 3 years, but he's not sticking around for long term. But like then what? Then what? Is it Michonne or Daryl? Like that.
It's Judith. They're gonna have her grow into a full-grown woman.
Just jump a decade in the future, so like 13-year-old Judith can lead.
But Maggie will still be pregnant. She'll be in her second trimester by then, and Judith will take over the show, and then they'll kill her off. You know, the reason that they killed off Carl is probably even more cynical than anything else, and it's to generate hype and buzz and get people talking and have a big shock that everyone can freak out about. It's just like killing. That's it. That's got to be.
I feel like there have been so many deaths that just seem so purposeless other than just generating hype. Like Glenn didn't need to die. We could have stuck around with Glenn. Like even someone like Beth didn't need to die. Like all of these were just blindingly stupid deaths that just seemed like they happened because a death needed to happen. And
well, Glenn was absurd because, well, first of all, there was a death. They got Abraham. Yeah. Boom. You got your big death. Second of all, like he was a great character and the show has suffered ever since he's been gone. You can really feel his absence and they've never done anything with it. Maggie has not grown as a character, really. Not much. In fact, in season 7, they barely even had Maggie. Like she was almost a non-entity, like for at least the first half of that season, even though she's the widow. Like she's the one that should be the most vengeful of anyone. It's just, this is why I say Scott Gimple has to go, because he's writing nonsense, just total nonsense. Like these stories don't make any sense. Like why did Aaron and Enid go to the Oceanside people? What the hell was that all about?
Oh yeah, and then she
what
just
was that?
I don't know.
What's up with Erik?
We really need the Oceanside right now. And then the Rick plotline with the trash people was like 2 episodes, and then they immediately run away when there's gunfire.
And it was just pointless. I mean, what was the point of all of that? I hope they don't come back, those trash people, because they're ridiculous.
Just keep running all the way.
That's what he said. That Rick said. You just better run. Yeah, into the ocean, and they can take a bunch of other people with them, like Eugene and Enid. And why is Eugene freeing the doctor now? Now that he's let Negan out,
I also like that where he's like, you gotta get to the hilltop and take care of Maggie's baby. It's like Maggie is like 1 month pregnant.
Yeah,
because of the timeline of this show. I don't think this is like an urgent thing.
Right, there's probably more urgent matters for the doctor, like all the wounded people from this war that everyone's fighting.
You would think that, but no, I don't know. There's been a lot of like kind of bad moments of the show, and like we went through this last season with the fake out with the Negan bat deaths, and then Glenn's actual death and Abraham's death, and like that was annoying. But like killing Carl for this reason is far and away the most unforgivable thing I've seen the show do. And like I haven't been quite as hard on the show as you, like over the past year or two, but like this is one thing that has just really kind of flipped me completely, where I don't think they even understand what they're doing or what they want to do or what they should be doing. Like it's a new level of incompetence and like poor decision making that I have never seen ever. And like we can gripe about like, oh, you know, they're too reliant on Daryl and like they give Daryl too much leeway and like, oh, the timelines don't add up. But like just killing a character who is essentially the backbone of the show, like conceptually, is just beyond the pale.
And what do they do now? Like what happens?
Rick learns to deal with loss. Because we haven't done that,
right,
5 times already.
I guess Rick will have some hallucinations of Carl, and
this is my question now: is if the Carl hallucinations were BS, and those Carl hallucinations were like straight out of a time jump that happens in the comics, like after this is all over, like straight up with the way Rick looked, like the little idyllic community, like all of that is straight from the comics. So I am genuinely wondering if they're just saying like screw it, like we don't want to follow the Kirkman path anymore, like we just want to do a Fear the Walking Dead and do our own thing and just tear up the comics, because like killing Carl almost means they have to because he's so
Yeah.
he is the entire point of the next arc where he becomes like, really good friends with Negan and the Whisperers come and he like falls in love with the daughter of the Whisperers leader and like all this like and now none of that can happen. And
Yeah.
it's like the entire plot line. So and weirdly that's actually like I would not actually mind the show doing that. I don't like that
Yeah.
they would do it in this way, but like I really have not liked the comics for a long time now, like pretty much since the Negan War. So if they did just want to kind of go a completely different direction and it wasn't terrible, I would actually be somewhat okay with that. But I don't trust them to do that, obviously,
Right.
in the current state of the show.
Well, if they did, this does open some doors to like anything could happen, right? Because it's a comic book spoiler, but Negan isn't killed at the end of the All Out War, right? He's taken prisoner.
Right.
He goes through a change of character. I don't know,
Oh, sorry.
but they could kill him now. Like they could do away with Negan if they wanted to.
If this show has proven anything, it really likes burly, crude white dudes. So I think
It does
him
like
and
that.
Rick and Daryl are all safe for a very
Unless
long time.
it's not. Jeffrey Dean Morgan may not want to stay on this show.
I feel like he's probably having fun playing Negan, so I think he might want to stick around for longer than like 2 years. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But this might have been enough of a career boost that he's getting like movie off. I know he's in an upcoming movie, and there's.
I mean, he was in like Watchmen. He's been in like some movies, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think the pressing question is when Andrew Lincoln wants to leave, because like that is one thing that really seems to be on the table, and that's why I was so shocked that Carl died, because I thought he was always the backup plan.
Yeah.
And now, like, what does Negan lead the show? Like, I don't.
I guess the silver lining is that anything could happen, and we certainly don't know where it's going now. Now that it has to change from the comic books, and maybe it is, like you said, maybe that's a good thing. But I don't think the problem is that even if it is a good thing, like right now, the people making the show are flat out incompetent, and I don't trust anything that they put out. Like they need some new direction so that they can put out a better show, especially if they go off book and they start trying to make their own stuff up. Because everything they've done lately that's off book is terrible.
It used to be good though. When they used to go off book, it used to be awesome, like Terminus and all that kind of stuff, and the Wolves. But
but not anymore.
Seems like ages ago. So it's just so inconsistent that like this is also the season that gave us probably one of the best episodes of the show, which was the Ezekiel episode. So like I don't.
Yeah,
it's just so bizarre to have that episode, but also just some of. I don't know.
But even that episode had stupid stuff in it, just like really, really stupid stuff, like the machine gun, like dinging the Jeep, like things like that are just, and what's okay. Here's a couple more weird things about this episode, and then we'll shut it down. But why didn't Rick shoot Negan when he got knocked out of the window? Why didn't he come back in with the gun and just shoot him?
Yeah,
I don't get it. Why didn't he hit him with the other side of the bat? He had a spiky bat. He could have hit him with that side of the bat. That would have made sense.
I don't know.
Do you remember last week, didn't Negan say to Eugene something about making bullets so that they could get out of the sanctuary? Didn't he say something to Eugene about that last week?
I didn't think that was like so they could get out of the sanctuary. I thought Eugene's like bullet making factory was like off site. I didn't think he could, because that was like a place they found that was like in a town or something. So I didn't think he could make bullets like at the sanctuary. I thought he did say something about making bullets like for the war, but I don't know if that was crucial to the like escape plan.
Let's see. I'm gonna try to find out because I feel like that was crucial, but maybe not. Let's see.
I feel like it's also easy to misinterpret things that are said on the show. Like I totally misread the Maggie Simon conversation because that was really confusing to me.
Well, they're just confusing.
At the very end, I didn't understand even like what Carl was saying. Like, I feel like you have to watch with like closed captions.
So here in this TV line recap of last week, it says Eugene went to Negan with a new plan to get rid of the walkers that had, in an instant, become well-fed squatters. All he needed was for Negan to get him to his bullet-making equipment or get his bullet-making equipment to him.
That clearly didn't happen.
So I don't know how they did that. And then he produced all these bullets that they apparently
I don't think he did. I thought the end plan was just they drove a truck out of the thing and put speakers on it. That's what.
Then why go through all this bullet making talk last week? I don't understand.
Can't tell you that one. I don't know.
Why don't they show what happened? Did they just, or are they all sitting around the writer's room and they're like, so how do we get them out of the sanctuary?
If they were going to do this,
I don't know.
Why didn't last week's episode end with them figuring out the plan? Like, why does the plan have to be a mystery?
Or why didn't this week's episode begin with them carrying out the plan? You know,
I guess
so
because we didn't know where they all were and how they were going to spring traps on everyone. But
why not? Why shouldn't we know that? I mean, it happens. It's not a big. I don't know. It's just. I'd rather forego the surprise and the confusion rather than being surprised and confused at the same time. You know, So
this show thinks it's clever trying to hide a lot of stuff, and it does. It's almost always better to just not hide things. It's not fun. Like people don't like waiting to see who's gonna die or like not knowing how something happened. Like just. Yeah, like as you said, just tell a normal story. Like
just tell it straightforward, like a normal story.
You said, these aren't even good mysteries. Like I'm all for having mystery and suspense in a show, but like these are not good versions of that.
Right. They're not even mysteries. They're literally just leaving blank spots in the story so that we don't understand what's going on.
Correct.
I mean, that's not a mystery. That's just bad storytelling. That's like leaving paragraphs out of a book and being like, yeah, it's a mystery. Yep. I mean, it's a mystery. Yeah, we left a bunch of paragraphs out, so you don't know what you're actually reading. Like, that's the mystery. Yeah, sigh.
So I don't really know what's going to happen next season. I have a feeling it'll probably stick pretty close to the comics for the next 8 episodes or so. That's my guess. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. I don't know if Negan will survive or not. And I guess one thing this has done is I genuinely have no idea what they're gonna do, because if they can kill Carl for the stupidest ass reason ever, I guess they can do anything. So prepare to be surprised. But I thought I've actually thought about them making a break from the comics, and I thought a good break from the comics would have been to kill Negan, because Negan is awful, instead of sparing him, and that would have been a good splitting point, and then they could have gone in a different direction. I don't really think that's going to happen now, and this splitting point is way stupider instead, but we'll see.
Those close up on faces are really annoying too. It's so weird
when they're not actually artistic. Very strange.
I was reading on Rotten Tomatoes a critic what different critics were saying about the episode, and it just amazes me that people who are critics can actually like what we just saw. Here's one from Noel Murray at Rolling Stone. Quote, director Michael E. Satrazemis' use of close-ups is visually striking and shifts the emphasis to individual reactions to a crisis, which has always been the show's strong suit.
It's just pretentious BS.
What is it? That is such pretentious BS, isn't it?
It's just someone I write for Rolling Stone. I better sound smart about this thing.
His use of close-ups is visually striking.
Your review was definitely my favorite. It was just total disgust and half a third of the length of your normal reviews, because you're I can't even do it. I'm out.
Yeah, I was after it ran last night. I was just I am not wasting my whole evening writing this review. I am not going to spend all night trying to put this together.
You know it was a poorly received episode because your review was on the Walking Dead Reddit, and everyone's yeah, this is right on.
Oh, was it on there? I didn't see that. I'll have to go.
Normally they think you hate the show to an unhealthy degree, but
it was definitely my
most on the same side. Yeah.
Right,
I'm writing an entire explainer about Carl's actual death tomorrow, because I'm still getting people not getting what happened, and I don't blame them because I didn't get it either. But you literally need to be okay, here's the timeline. Is this so convoluted?
A whole explainer for this entire half of the season is probably in order.
I couldn't even write it because I don't even know the sequence of events. I cannot tell you the timeline of all these different attacks and because that has not made sense to me. And even in this explainer, I still don't know whether Carl's been bit for this whole half season has been kind of I think 48 hours, but I don't know if he was bit on day 1, and then there's been a night since then, or I don't know if episode 6 was like the same day as Negan's attack. Like
It's really hard to figure.
I that's one thing I can't figure out. So I'm like, I don't know. It's been like a day or two.
Well, that's the thing. One thing that they really haven't done is give us context for anything. Like the time, it's context for time. How long is how long is this going on between here and then and that, whatever, that makes it confusing. Like with Maggie's pregnancy, it makes it confusing with Michonne being so impatient to go out there. With how long was Rick over there with the trash people? So we don't have context for time, but we also don't have context for numbers. Like how many saviors are there? How many good guys are there? How many
saviors? It's always the answer.
How many bullets are? Yeah, like what is? There's no sort of this important context to give us, and then that diminishes the stakes.
Yep.
Like there's no stakes because we don't know like how many bad guys they have to beat. We don't know what any of it means. It means nothing. And that's why last night I was just like, you know what, this is stupid. This is just, I can't even care about any of it. I can't even care that Carl's bitten because at this point I think it's probably the best thing that could have happened for Chandler Riggs is to get off this stupid show.
No, I feel bad. I don't know if he's going to land too many roles after this, but
well, I mean, he's going to, he'll have I think he has enough notoriety from this that he'll put something together. He'll have his own unique niche. He may not be like the biggest, most successful actor ever, but who knows what he'll have an opportunity to do something different, and that's okay.
I do too.
It sucks.
Of all the, like, he was fired when he was still like 17, like he's just about to turn 18, and like
that's cold.
It is extremely cold. And like I would be about 50% less mad about this entire episode if I just knew he wanted to leave the show, which is weird because it doesn't change what happened in the episode, but I would be more okay with it than like knowing it was a purposeful, like, idiotic decision.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I think
I've never felt that about a show before. Like maybe like Dexter, when like Showtime was not letting them kill Dexter, so we had this ridiculously stupid ending. But that's the only thing that even I can think of, and that is literally one of the worst series finales in history. So sorry, Dexter spoilers, but no one should ever watch the last 3 seasons of Dexter.
I gave up on Dexter after like season 5, I think.
No, that's good. That's exactly when you should stop.
I was already just like, nah.
The Iron Fist showrunner takes over, and it's the worst.
That's really a shame when shows go downhill like that. Dexter was really good at first.
Oh yeah, it was amazing at first for like a couple seasons, but
yeah, I mean it had some problems, but it was still entertaining enough to be an enjoyable watch. But well, I think I'm glad. This is the other thing. I'm glad that Walking Dead is over for a few weeks because. I instead of being
writing
eager
about
to
the insanity, I'll say that, but
yeah, I like that too. But I'm tired of the show. Like I think I need a psychic break. Yeah, Fear's great. I hope it stays
be less great, probably.
Yeah, because Gimple's getting involved. Yeah, I mean, hopefully these other showrunners they're bringing on though. I mean, he's not a showrunner over there.
I just don't understand what happened to Sky Gimple because like he did, inarguably the best episodes of the series when he was like just a director. And I don't understand how you go from that to just. I guess there's a difference between like directing a nice good episode and then like scripting the overall direction of the series. Yeah, like, I guess that's a different job, but
they need someone who's good at that.
Yeah, I don't know, Brian.
Or someone who's not on drugs, or I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we need to say about that. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back with more Walking Dead in a few weeks. Well, in February, I guess, when it comes back. I don't think there's any real shows airing, any new things coming out, but so we'll probably do video games for a few weeks. I don't know. Although there's not many video games either, so who knows? We'll figure out something. But all right, peace.